Welcome to Entrepreneur Factory Podcast. I'm Boyd Peterson. I am on my own today. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that's a big thing for businesses. If you want to go to the next level, there's something I want to teach you and tell you about. Now, you may know these things, but I want to remind you of them. And that is, you need to have, and especially at this time of year, but all times of the year, have an attitude of gratitude. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. So I want to give you a couple of stories of how to do things and how not to do things that I have experienced over the years that I have been working with businesses. So to give you an idea, an attitude of gratitude is, and especially during this time of the year, which is the Christmas time, then there's a lot of people who look forward to Christmas, and there's others that give Christmas bonuses and all kinds of things. And I think that those are great things. But let me tell you how not to do it and then how to do it. And I'm going to give you examples of both. So, for example, I worked for a company one time that we got to the toward the end of the year, and there were 4 owners of it, and they went to meet with their accounting person, and he told them, you got to spend about $200,000 to keep your taxes below a certain amount. And we've been making these payments of taxes, but you're going to have to pay a lot of taxes if you don't get $200 that you donate somewhere, or use it as a business expense or something. But if you've got to do that before the end of the year. Now, they found this out just about Thanksgiving time. In fact, I think it was the day after Thanksgiving they found out. Well, about a week before Christmas, they made the big announcement that they were going to be giving out the Christmas bonuses on Tuesday. And that was great for them. But and they were going to have a company meeting to announce it right after work. So everyone was staying around, and they were really excited about it. And the president of the company stood up and he says, I want to thank everybody for a banner year this year. It's our best year that we've had in a long time, and I want to thank every one of you. And so today, as you're leaving, go out to this. Do you see this new red truck that's sitting out here in the parking lot? In the back of it is something for everyone. And what it was a fairly good size ham for everyone. And they had just had them all put in the back of the truck. Now, of course, it's winter time, so they're getting nice and frozen out there because there's snow on the ground and everything else. And then he happened to mention that, and there were other trucks that were just like that red truck sitting in the parking lot. And he happened to mention that they had such a good year that they were able to buy each of the owners of the company these new red trucks. And they spent $40,000 plus on each one of them. And he was so proud that we had made that kind of money for him and everything. And as we went out to it, there was an envelope attached to every one of the hams. And so we thought, oh, good, so we're going to get a ham and we're going to get a little bit of money. And so as we were leaving, we opened up the envelope, and in it was a $20 gift card and the ham, which was probably worth about $8 or $9 at the time. Everybody was looking around at these 4 brand new, shiny, $40,000 plus trucks, and they're thinking, well, that's really our bonus, isn't it? We helped them make so much money that they could buy 4 luxury trucks, and we get a ham and $20. Now, it's interesting to note that by the next Christmas, more than half of the people who worked for that company were gone. That is not the right way to do it. Trust me. If you got to spend some money on some infrastructure stuff, do so, but do it discreetly. But make sure you take care of those people that are helping you make the money. Yes, while each one of these 4 people worked in the business, they were not the people who were actually doing the big part of making sure the success of that company was being realized. I'll tell you another story, and this one was, in my opinion, a better story, although it was sad in a big way. And so there was this company, very large company. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and they hired a new person to come in and to help them trim the fat in their company because they felt like they could see some of it, but they didn't see enough that was going to make a big difference. So they hired this person just after Christmas one year, and by the Christmas of the next year, he had figured out there were divisions that needed to be closed. There were people that were redundant, and there were lots of things. And they ended up laying off a lot of people, but they also closed divisions that were losing lots of money. And they thought that they were core things that they had to keep. And he said, nope, we're getting rid of them. Well, at the end, when Thanksgiving rolled around, they were starting to figure it out. And they figured that he had saved them, and they made an extra, well, they made it so that they had an extra almost $1 billion. It was like $865 million that he had saved them by all of the cuts and structuring and changing and everything else. But a lot of people lost their jobs. And so they came to him and said, per our agreement, you have done such a fabulous job. We are now in the black, and we are making money for our stockholders. And so we want to really thank you for it. Here is your bonus of $200 million that we had promised you if you could do this. Well, he went home that night. He talked it over with his wife and with his kids that still lived at home and the kids that were not. And he came back the next day and he asked accounting to give him the names and addresses of every person that had been laid off that year. But it only was laid off, not fired, not they left of their own accord, laid off that year. And he got a list and he went to his accountant and he had them send out money to every one of them and a thank you letter. And I am so sorry for what we had to do to restructure the business, but I wanted to take something of what I received and give it back to you. Now, a lot of these people were still looking for jobs because at that time, jobs were a little more scarce than they are now. And they were really struggling, and they got this thing, and they had one person who got it, and he says, "How dare you?" And his wife said, "What do you mean? How dare you? How dare him? He got money from the company for letting everybody go, I know. But he didn't feel right in accepting all this money without giving it back." And he says, "Well, how much did they finally give us?" And she says, "Just over $10,000. This was a big thing for a lot of people. And, and $180 million goes a long way to taking care of those employees. And when he went to work for another company a few years later, interesting enough, a lot of the people who worked with him at that previous company asked to go with him. So did a lot of people who he laid off asked to join that company. And he was willing to help them because this company was a growing concern, and it really, really made a big difference. And he found that he had created loyal employees that were both stayed in that company and wanted to move with him, and those that he had to let go, but now they were loyal because they knew he would take care of them. That's what he did. Now, that's a good thing, but I mean, it was bad because those people lost their jobs. But I thought it said a lot to the integrity of this person who said, "I'm giving back." Now, there's a lot of others that have had experiences out there. I know that. And I would love to hear from you those experiences, both good and bad, from employers. I know of a couple of companies that every year they get toward Christmas time and their businesses drop off because their business is cyclical. During the summer, they do great big things, and especially from about middle of November to probably February, they just drop off. And so they have to lay off their employees every year and then rehire new ones when April comes around and things are starting to really pick up again. Well, one of the owners came to me one time when I was working with the newspapers, and he asked me, how can I get out of this? How can I stop this? And I said, you've got to do something that will attract people in during those down times. Maybe you won't make any money on it during those down times, but you'll keep the quality employees that you have. And he says, yeah, every one of them. I would hate to lose even one of them. So we did some promotions, and we got people, and we let people know we want to keep our employees working. And so we're going to do these things for you if you at a discount, if you will come and support our employees. And this program worked. And it got to the point where he never had to lay off a single employee at between Christmas or any other time unless there was a problem with that employee. And so it was a great thing. Now, his employees stay with him because he shares in the wealth as well. And he keeps an open door and a very, very open communication with them about what's going on with the business. Some of the employees thought, well, gee, you're going to be cutting our bonuses this year. And he said, no, usually your bonuses have already been determined by September because of this. And some of these people, when I lay them off, I give them it as their severance pay. But this year, we've been able to continue, and by us not making as much money during this time when it's a down season, and we had lots of people to keep everybody working, it meant they keep working and they get it as a Christmas bonus. And that's how you take care of your employees. Now, we had a person on a few weeks ago actually, who was talking about you need to take care of your number one person in your company, and that is your employees, because they are the ones who will take care of your business by taking care of the customers. And so if you've got happy employees, you've got people who are going to be happy to help the customers no matter what. And that's one of the things that a lot of businesses forget. Take care of your employees. Let them know that you appreciate them. When I ran the community newspapers, and we had, at one point, we had 165 employees. We were the largest newspaper chain in the state. We were larger than any of the dailies in our circulation. Now, we didn't have as many employees as they had. Of course, now we would have had more employees than they have. But the key was we were getting out to people. We had a total circulation of 340,000 homes, not people, homes. Now, with that 165, we invited them every summer to a summer family picnic. And it was always us saying thank you. And we had games for the kids. We had games for the adults. We had, us as the management of the company, cooked hamburgers, hot dogs, bratwurst. It changed every year what we did. One year we did a Hawaiian style one. And so, but that became a huge thing, and people loved it. They would plan vacations around it. At Christmas time, we would have another one, but this was only for couples. So the employee plus one, and it went over very well. And we had awards that we would give. We would celebrate with them the successes. And sometimes we'd even talk a little bit about some of the failures in some instances. But they always got to know what was going on. We had some very loyal people who worked for us. Yes, we had turnover. because there were people who just, they'd get a better job. We had one of our editors who became the editor of the managing editor of a newspaper. And okay, we understand that. If you can further your career, that was great. And we celebrated that. But we also invited her back for the next time we had a thank you dinner, because we wanted to celebrate her successes in our business and finding this new job. That's how you take care of your customers, is by taking care of your employees. Also, you got to take care of those customers. Send out something to say thank you. And especially at this time of year, do it, because it's so important. And if you're listening to this after Christmas, it's still this time of year. Any time of year is the right time to say thank you to your customers. Do something nice for them. Have a customer appreciation day. That was one of the things that we loved about a couple companies we had. They would have a customer appreciation day, luncheon for people both summer and winter. And during the winter, it was about a week before Christmas, and they would bring families, and they'd tell them to bring their families, and they'd say, thank you for being a customer. And of course, they took care of the employees at the same time. This is what Giving It Forward is all about. Giving thanks and have an attitude of gratitude for all that you have and for those people who help you make it. And so that's today's message. I hope that you find that if you're hearing this before Christmas, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If not, I hope you have a wonderful 2022, because I know that if you continue to have an attitude of gratitude all year long, your business will thrive. So I'm Boyd Peterson. Thank you for watching Entrepreneur Launchpad. We do this 3 times a week. We do Mondays. We have about marketing and sales. On Wednesday, it's about taking your business to the next level. And on Fridays, it's all about entrepreneurship and starting or building a small business. Thank you again.